Accumulating bad debt or consumer debt by buying things like new living room furniture or a new car that you really can't afford is like living on a diet of sugar and caffeine, a quick fix with little nutritional value. Borrowing on your credit card to afford an extravagant vacation is detrimental to your long-term financial health. When you use debt for investing in your future, we call it good debt. Borrowing money to pay for an education, to buy real estate, or to invest in a small business is like eating a well-balanced and healthy diet. That's not to say that you can't get yourself into trouble when using good debt. Just as you can gorge yourself on too much good food, you can develop financial indigestion from too much good debt. In this course, Getting Started with Debt Management, we mainly help you battle the pervasive problem of consumer debt. Getting rid of your bad debts may be even more difficult than giving up the junk foods you love. But in the long run, you'll be glad you did. You'll be financially healthier and emotionally happier. And after you get rid of your high-cost consumer debts, make sure you practice the best way to avoid future credit problems. Don't borrow with bad debt. Many people build a mental brick wall between their savings and investment accounts and their consumer debt accounts. By failing to view their finances holistically, they simply fall into the habit of looking at these accounts individually. The thought of putting a door in that big brick wall doesn't occur to them. This section helps you see how your savings can be used to lower your consumer debt. If you have the savings to pay off consumer debt, like high-interest credit card and auto loans, consider doing so. Make sure you pay off the loans with the highest interest rates first. Sure, you diminish your savings, but you also reduce your debts. Although your savings and investments may be earning decent returns, the interest you're paying on your consumer debts is likely higher. Even if you think that you're an investing genius and you can earn more on your investments, swallow your ego and pay down your consumer debts anyway. In order to chase that higher potential return from investments, you need to take a substantial risk. You may earn more investing in that hot stock tip or that bargain real estate, but you probably won't. Check out some of these financial tips to pay down your consumer debts. Number 1, borrow against your cash value life insurance policy. If you did business with a life insurance agent, she probably sold you a cash value policy because it pays high commissions to insurance agents. Or perhaps your parents bought one of these policies for you when you were a child. Borrow against the cash value to pay down your debts. Number 2, sell investments held outside of retirement accounts. Maybe you have some shares of stock or a treasury bond gathering dust in your safety deposit box. Consider cashing in these investments to pay down your consumer loans. Just be sure to consider the tax consequences of selling these investments. If possible, sell investments that won't generate a big tax bill. Number 3, tap the equity in your home. If you're a homeowner, you may be able to tap into your home's equity, which is the difference between the property's market value and the outstanding loan balance. You can generally borrow against the real estate at a lower interest rate and get a tax deduction, subject to interest deduction limitations. However, you must take care to ensure that you don't overborrow on your home and risk losing it to foreclosure. Number 4, borrow against your employer's retirement account. Check with your employer's benefits department to see whether you can borrow against your retirement account balance. The interest rate is usually reasonable. Be careful, though, if you leave or lose your job, you may have to repay the loan within 60 days. Also recognize that you'll miss out on investment returns on the money borrowed. Number 5, lean on family. They know you, love you, realize your shortcomings, and probably won't be as cold-hearted as some bankers. Money borrowed from family members can have strings attached, of course. Treating the obligations seriously is important. To avoid misunderstandings, write up a simple agreement listing the terms and conditions of the loan. Unless your family members are the worst bankers we know, you'll probably get a fair interest rate, and your family will have the satisfaction of helping you out. Just don't forget to pay them back. If you lack savings to throw at your consumer debts, not surprisingly, you have some work to do. If you're currently spending all your income, you need to figure out how you can decrease your spending and/or increase your income. In the meantime, you need to slow the growth of your debt. Different credit cards charge different interest rates. So why pay 14, 16, or 18% when you can pay less? The credit card business is highly competitive. Until you get your debt paid off, slow the growth of your debt by reducing the interest rate you're paying. Here are sound ways to do that. Number 1, apply for a lower rate credit card. If you're earning a decent income, you're not too burdened with debt, and you have a clean credit record, qualifying for lower rate cards is relatively painless. Some persistence and cleanup work may be required if you have income and debt problems or nicks in your credit report. After you're approved for a new lower interest rate card, you can simply transfer your outstanding balance from your higher rate card. Creditcards.com's website carries information on low interest rate and no annual fee cards, among others, including secured cards. Number 2, call the bank that issued your current high interest rate credit card and say that you want to cancel your card because you found a competitor that offers no annual fee and a lower interest rate. Your bank may choose to match the terms of the competitor rather than lose you as a customer. But be careful with this strategy and consider just paying off or transferring the balance. Canceling the credit card, especially if it's one you've had for a number of years, may lower your credit score in the short term. Number 3, while you're paying down your credit card balance, stop making new charges on cards that have outstanding balances. Many people don't realize that interest starts to accumulate immediately when they carry a balance. You have no grace period, the 20 or so days you normally have to pay your balance in full without incurring interest charges, if you carry a credit card balance from month to month. Regardless of how you deal with paying off your debt, you're in real danger of falling back into old habits. Backsliding happens not only to people who file bankruptcy, but also to those who use savings or home equity to eliminate their debt. This section speaks to that risk and tells you what to do about it. Getting out of debt can be challenging, but we have confidence that you can do it with this book by your side. The following list provides some additional tactics you can use to limit the influence credit cards hold over your life. Number 1, reduce your credit limit. If you choose not to take our advice and get rid of all your credit cards or get a debit card, be sure to keep a lid on your credit card's credit limit, the maximum balance allowed on your card. You don't have to accept the increase just because your bank keeps raising your credit limit to reward you for being such a profitable customer. Call your credit card services toll-free phone number and lower your credit limit to a level you're comfortable with. Number 2, replace your credit card with a charge card. A charge card, such as the American Express card, requires you to pay your balance in full each billing period. You have no credit line or interest charges. Of course, spending more than you can afford to pay when the bill comes due is possible. But you'll be much less likely to overspend if you know you have to pay in full monthly. Number 3, never buy anything on credit that depreciates in value. Meals out, cars, clothing, and shoes all depreciate in value. Don't buy these things on credit. Borrow money only for sound investments, education, real estate, or your own business, for example. Number 4, think in terms of the total cost. Everything sounds cheaper in terms of monthly payments. That's how salespeople entice you into buying things you can't afford. Take a calculator along, if necessary, to tally up the sticker price, interest charges, and upkeep. The total cost will scare you. Number 5, stop the junk mail avalanche. Look at your daily mail. We bet half of it is solicitations and mail order catalogs. You can save some trees and sometimes sorting junk mail by removing yourself from most mailing lists. To remove your name from mailing lists, contact the Direct Marketing Association. Number 6, limit what you can spend. Go shopping with a small amount of cash and no plastic or checks. That way, you can spend only what little cash you have with you.